All right. Hey, folks, welcome back to another This Week in Photo live stream. I forget what critique number. Oh, this is critique number, I believe it's 219.
19?
The title, 19, right? Yeah, the title of this one was Artificially Enhanced. And the idea, if the TWiP members remember, was to create a image using AI technologies. And then I think we said it didn't need to necessarily be 100% AI, but using AI in a composition, although ideally it would just be an image that you created using Midjourney or Leonardo.ai or DALL-E or one of the services out there. And the main sort of Trojan horse reason for doing this critique was I wanted to get people that are both proponents and opponents to this kind of technology to at least try it so that you understand how it works and what's possible and what's not possible. That was the goal, not to do anything else. And then the other thing is Troy, you can attest to doing or critiquing something like this is going to be unique. We've never done it before. So doing a critique like this is interesting because it's almost like, and I said this in the community, I think it was on one of the thread comments, but it's almost like the photographer has plausible deniability on the images that they produce because something or someone else made a lot of the decisions of what's in the image. So the photographer didn't have complete control. Therefore, they can say, well, I didn't mean to do that, or the AI did that, or whatever, which is interesting versus having control over every pixel. What do you think?
Right.
Is it, am I reading into that too much?
No. I think the reason that this topic was such a fun topic is one, I just love the fact that photographers are talking about something other than gear. I just love that. And we're talking about imagery. Okay. And I see AI as a tool to help me create better images and for my photography. Right.
Yeah.
And so it's just everybody kind of working it out, kind of figuring out the pros and the cons, and having an informed opinion is also super important because there's a lot of people I talk to that are very anti, AI imagery and stuff. And I'm like, yay. So let me see your Discord account so I can loot your images. Oh,
Yeah.
I haven't made any. Oh,
Right.
okay. So you have an opinion, but you've never tried it. So,
Right. Yeah.
yeah, this has been really good.
I don't know. I mean, I get it. I come from the era of film and all the things, so I understand. I 100% understand the controversy and the hesitancy to embrace the destroyer of worlds, right? Which a lot of people think AI is. But on the other hand, I mean, if the thing is going to be around, right? It's not like you can just go in the corner, face your face into the corner, cross your arms and ignore it. It'll go away. I really think you need to understand it. And I think once people start understanding what the capabilities are, they'll start enjoying and incorporating it into their work. Like our mutual friend, Tim Engel, for example, up there in Sacramento, engelphoto.com, if you want to follow him. But he is using AI in a way that I think photographers can benefit from. So he conceptualizes these compositions for his commercial work, and then he will generate or a series of backgrounds for himself to use with a stand-in in place in the image. And then he'll either content aware fill that whatever the AI generated as the subject, and then he will go in the studio and photograph the real subject using the same lighting that the AI created and place and composite his subject in there. And it looks like, now he basically has infinite backgrounds to choose from. All you need is a studio and an understanding of lighting and all that, and you can create your foreground subject and then place them in whatever world that you want to create. So I think that's one way to use it. I think it's a brilliant way to use it. He was using it for things like he sent me a shot that he did of a model, a subject, a guy that was standing in front of some pillars. The pillars weren't real, but the model was. Can't tell the difference. Another one where he needed a shot of like a meandering path in a wooded area with like the brown dirt and green trees and all that with a knife standing in the middle. The client was a knife manufacturer, the knife
Right.
standing on its tip on in the middle of the trail. So what did he do? He photographed the knife in the studio with perfect lighting, and then composited into a mid-journey generated background, which I think that's interesting. I'd be curious to hear what the community thinks about that particular technique, because I think that's a brilliant technique where sure you could have searched for stock photos to do that and use that as a background, but not with the flexibility that you'd get with AI. Would you ever do something like that in your portrait work, Troy? Would that kind of fit in that workflow?
Oh heck yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
think that is where it's going to be the most powerful for me, because we all know Renee Robin and her amazing Photoshop compositing skills and her storytelling ability. But I don't have the ability to travel to the places she does and create the
Yeah.
background scenery that she does. Um, and so I can create that stuff in Mid Journey and do my own, composites. And using AI, I can help myself get to my visual goal, right? It's just kind of like the interview that you did with I'm going to butcher his name. I can't think of his name.
The
Naik,
most recent one. Oh, no, the
Naik
one before
Pratik. Is that
that. Pratik Naik. Yeah, yeah,
Pratik?
he's a ace
Yeah, I
retoucher.
mean,
Yeah. Hmm.
I'm like so on board with his philosophy about the accessibility to creativity for people. I just think that's so wonderful. So
Yeah.
it's these kind of dialogues, though, I think, that are going to help move that metric down the road from being this abomination of creativity to, okay, it's just another tool, and here's how we use it. And I
Yeah.
love the fact that we have so many wonderful images in this critique, and they're in the style of the photographer.
Yeah.
They created images that fit their photographic style, which I just did not expect. I thought
Yeah.
maybe they would go crazy and create something kind of out of the box, but no, it's
Yeah.
in their style, which I just thought was okay. This is really cool. This was not what I
Yeah.
expected.
Yeah, it's a more reserved usage of the tool versus kind of like you remember back in the day, or not back in the day, it was just a few years ago, but when HDR was all the rage, right? And everyone's creating
Yeah,
HDR once they learn, and everything was all oversaturated and crunchy, and the clarity slider dragged all the way to the right and all that.
yeah,
Yeah, that was the day, and I mean we've seen this repeat itself over and over in photography, or creative in the creative space, like when Apple released the laser writer printer with infinite fonts basically that you could load in there and use in your design programs. That was the boom, or the harbinger of doom for the graphic design profession, right? Because now
yeah,
everyone could be a graphic designer, and I see the same kind of pangs of fear, uncertainty, and doubt with this stuff. But much like that, sure, everybody can do it, but not everybody has the understanding of the art form to be able to
yeah,
execute on it. Same with photography. Sure, you could type in a prompt and generate something, but if you can't control what you're doing, or you have no idea what your end result should
right,
be, then you're just kind of shooting in the dark, which is fun, right? I shoot in the dark all the time with these prompts and just type in poetic phrases and see what it gives back. But other
yeah,
times I want to be more methodical and more precise about what I'm creating, and controlling the aspect ratio, the depth of field, and all that. But to
yeah,
understand how all that works, and just not that you need to be an expert, but just to understand it, I think will make you a better photographer, even if you don't use it, because you'll know what's
oh
possible,
yeah,
and you'll be able to spot when someone else is kind of using it. But don't just arbitrarily, because of reasons, hobble yourself or your creativity, on virtue or
yeah,
whatever, because the train is not gonna stop, bro. It's gonna,
no,
it's
no.
gonna keep going.
No. And I look at
Yeah.
it, I look at it a little bit like this. It's like the calculator to the person that did the manual bookkeeping, or it's like the QuickBooks to the person that did their books longhand. Like, knowing how to do it longhand, knowing how to actually do the math, just makes it more accurate when you do it like with a computer or on a calculator. And I think
Yeah.
AI, and especially image generation, is really going to help us in those ways where, again, it's that I have a visual goal in mind, And I don't have compositing skills like, Dennis Dunbar or Renee Robin. Like, I just don't have those skills. AI can help get me there. Or
Yeah.
in my industry as a wedding photographer, it makes it so much easier for me to remove objects or clean up scenes that
Hmm.
I just don't have the skill to rebuild a block wall, to take out a trash can, but AI can do it for me, and
Yeah.
that is magic. So, and
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
useful. And I like that.
And we'll get into the critique in just a second. But yeah, that I think I just wanted to spend a few seconds kind of hammering that home, what the purpose of this critique was, and just don't fear the new technology, because it's not stopping. And I could see, I mean, you and I are I think we're around the same age, right? So you've seen all the ebbs and flows in technologies and the patterns and the chaos,
Yep.
and you can recognize, or we both can recognize, that we're at the tip of a very large iceberg, I think. And 10 years from now, assuming we still have some brain cells left, 10 years from now, you were going to look at this stuff and it's just going to be a whole new world in terms of the tools that we have, hardware and software,
Yep.
the ways to share images, what people consider normal, kind of like pre-iPhone versus today. Right? If you look at the pre-iPhone world and where we were then, and we thought that was state of the art with our Palm Treos and sidekicks and all that, and you fast forward to today with iPhone 14 and iOS 17, come on, we're living in science fiction area. So yeah, really, really interesting stuff. Before we get started, folks, if you haven't done so already, folks that aren't members of the TWiP community, please go ahead and head over to This Week in Photo. There's a QR code on the screen right now. Go ahead and use that, screenshot it, aim your camera at it or whatever, and that'll take you over to thisweekinphoto.com, our website. There's a lot of changes that are going to be happening over there soon, but please check it out. Plus, I just wanted to brag and show that I know how to do QR codes and all that. That's what that's about. Say, I'm honest about it. Hey, gratuitous use of technology, right?
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. Push the QR code button again. Push it one more time.
Okay.
Let's just see how that works.
All right, here we go. Here's the QR code button. Wait,
Yeah.
there we go.
Look at that.
Boom.
Look at that slide in. Look at that.
See,
That's beautiful.
I worked on that, man. That took a minute to figure out. I got it going. It's good. Yeah. I think I'm going to do that all the time. I considered leaving that code up all the time. That's just my shot, right? It always has a QR code. Always has a QR code in it. But I digress. Let's dive into this critique, folks.
Let's do that.
Let's do it. I even have a button for that. Let me press it. Look at that. All right, here we are in this week's photo critiques. This is critique number 219, artificially enhanced. If you are in the community and you come to this event, you will see this here video, which is what we're playing right now. We're streaming right now on this. If I click it, the universe will implode on itself if I click this play button. So I will not do that. So let me just pull this away. Okay. Can I get rid of that? Oh, interesting. Hang on one second. Let's see.
It's imploding. That's what's happening right now.
No, I'm doing all kinds of changes. You know me, I'm always changing my setup over here.
Yeah.
But let's do this first one. Hey, look who put the first image in there. It is Troy Miller. I'm familiar with that guy. All right, you got to tell us about this image, Troy. What's going on here?
Yeah. So I've always been a big fan of like urban decay and all those kind of things. And I thought, well, I'm always looking for weird angles when I'm out in the world photographing, like landscapes or anything. And so, in the style of my vision, I tried to render an image that would give me a unique perspective of, urban decay with some beauty in it. And that's eventually what I got. I wish I had put the prompts in what I used for this, and I will do that later. And I'm gonna recommend that it'd be cool if everybody threw your prompts in if you have the prompts. So it'd be interesting to see how you came to it. But that was it. That was my goal, was to simply just kind of a unique angle of something beautiful. I only work that I did on this image was I desaturated the background because the saturation was the same. So I left the reds and pushed everything else down. But
Oh, nice. Now, did you do your post processing for this image in, I'm guessing, Capture One, right?
I did, yeah, I did everything in Capture One. Yeah, it was just to select like the cool tones to push that down. And as Tim Ingle mentioned, I did put a frame around it. I
Of
did mat it.
course.
So
Of course. Yeah,
yeah, well, I
Tim, you
had to
see that?
finish it.
He can't not put a frame on stuff. I'm just like, what is that about? I'm curious though. So when you brought this into Capture One, did you bring it in, or did you use an AI upscaling thing like Topaz Gigapixel to bring it up in resolution? Because the Midjourney, of course, is going to spit out a relatively low resolution image. Did you do that, or did you just bring whatever Midjourney gave you directly into Capture One?
No, I ran it through Gigapixel AI to
Mm-hmm.
upres it to like a 16 by 20, something with some moderate resolution. And granted, like these mid-journey rendered images, they don't have like this infinite amount of resolution or depth or texture to them like what we would see with a photograph. So the textures tend to be smooth, so they upres pretty fine. So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's really cool. I like this. I saw, what was it? I was watching this video this weekend, and this they were demonstrating this technique for basically using AI to generate backgrounds, like kind of like what Tim does, but for video, where they could place
mhm.
people in different environments, and they were using Photoshop's generative AI to take a background and extend it and do all sorts of cool things with it and overlay like transparent video that had birds in the foreground flying around. Really interesting use. Really interesting use. Better than what they could have done back in the old days of Hollywood, and now
Oh
you can of
yeah.
course do it on your own computer here, which is crazy. Now you just need a good story to tell. No excuses. No excuses. All right. Cool, Troy. Thank you for starting us off with that. All right, next up
Yes.
is Deborah Cole. Deborah Cole, visual storyteller. She says, today I was learning and experimenting. Somehow I spent the entire day and can see how this can lead down innumerable rabbit holes. Amen. I'm still in one of those rabbit holes. Only used Midjourney. I'm glad to have learned how to use it. Yay! Mission accomplished. But since I'm more documentary style, I had to wrestle myself not to feel guilty about manipulating it. Yeah. Oh, interesting. Interesting. Yeah. All right, here's a shot. What do you think, Troy? This is Deborah Cole's.
It's great. I love it. I think that this really speaks to her style. It's a stunning image, and I think that when you generate an image in Midjourney like this and you share it with a community, you're really sort of sharing your vision, right? Like it's a photograph, and you have to kind of own it. And I think that what you've done here, Deborah, is really beautiful. I think it's great, and I would suggest that you not feel guilty about manipulating an image. I think that if you learn how to manipulate an image, if you learn how to run Midjourney, if you learn how all these tools work, then when you're out in the world and you see something and you step 6 inches to the left or 6 inches to the right, and you can remove a thing or add a thing, that's what we're learning here. Is we're learning how to do that, but we're just doing it in a controlled and sort of a safe, aka safe environment. Um, but I love what you've done. The toning. It is interesting though how AI generates things like a pot within a pot, and then the hand in the pot.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So this image, Deborah Cole, you have the honor of being our very first image that we've ever critiqued on This Week in Photo. That is not 100. Well, to my knowledge, that is not 100% human generated. So, Troy, take a look at this image and put on your photo competition judging hat. Get judgmental with us for a minute. Look at this image from that perspective. You didn't know that she used Midjourney to create this, and this was submitted for a high end photo competition. How would you judge it? What would be your feedback?
Well, right away, the pot within a pot, and then the hand in the pot is going to set me off, right? I'm going to notice that right away. But let's just assume that weirdness wasn't there. Let's just assume that looked good. Um, I I could score this pretty high, except for the kid's right hand looks a little weird. And but if this was a real person, I might assume that that was a disformity in the hand or something. So I wouldn't really comment on that. So assuming this was a real photograph, and I would be impressed with the pose, the lighting, the use of environment, the vignetting, right? The focus, the attention on the face. The subject's shoulders are a little bit hot, and the face is a
Hmm.
little bit shadowed. I would probably change that with some dodging and burning, but it's
Yeah.
nice.
So for the folks that are going to continue their journey with this AI stuff, should the flow be like what you did for your image, where they get close to where they want and then run that through an app like Topaz Gigapixel AI to upres it and then bring that into Photoshop or Lightroom or Capture One or something else to kind of finish it and tweak and do all the things?
I think that's a good process. I wouldn't say it's the only process or the right process. It's certainly, I think, a solid process. Depending on your result, right? I mean, if you're going to bring an image like this into a larger composite and you need the image larger, it's better to res it before you bring it into Photoshop, or before you bring it into some kind of background or something, so that you have the pixels there to play with.
Yeah. Yep. I agree. So my quick thoughts on this image. First of all, I'm gonna look at it with two brains, right? So from an AI perspective, in an AI image generation perspective, I love it. I love a lot about it. There are some things I don't like about it that I will touch on, but I love the muted sort of almost 100% desaturated look with just a slight bit of color in there. I love that. I love the blank sort of background with almost a natural vignette that's created by the smoke that's coming up around our subjects. I love the expressions on the faces that we have here. I love the clothing, all that, and the pose. What I don't like, echoing what Troy said, yes, but also down here, I'm not sure what's going on down there, so I'm a little bit distracted by this area in the photo. And the composition right here, when I first saw this image, my brain is like, is she bathing the child in that pot? Or is the kid behind the pot? Or is she making kid soup? I don't know. Right? So I was looking at it from that, my brain kind of got stuck in that little eddy of what's happening right here. Obviously, I know the intent is that the child is behind the pot, but what is happening? Like, why is her hand in the pot? And if it's in the pot, why is there a lid there? What kind of pot is that with a hole? So those kind of things are like, take you out of the, not even so much out of the fact that it's or an artificially generated image, just compositionally from a regular photographic standpoint, our brains get sort of trapped when there are things that don't make 100% sense in the image, which is a hole that's easy to fall into with AI, right? Because it's just going to build stuff and it will make things that look good but don't make sense in the real world. So you gotta keep your eye out for that stuff. But otherwise, really, really cool portrait shot. This is really cool. Love it. And thank you, Deborah. And again, congratulations. Congratulations on being the very first person to be critiqued on This Week in Photo with I don't even know what we call these images now, Troy. What should we call these? Because I want to say photo, I want to say image, I want to say creation. Like what should be the nomenclature?
It's an image.
It's an
It's not a
image. Okay.
photograph. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
clearly not a photograph. It's an image, and I think that that's fair to the maker, right? If
Yeah.
somebody wants to create an image using combinations of tools, it's an image, but it's certainly not a photograph. Even if you were to add photographic elements to that, I mean, that's where I'm at.
Yeah.
Your
Yeah.
AI bot explanation was pretty good. So
Yeah. Yep. Love it. Cool. All right. On to the next one. Next up is, let's see. Rick Kilboy is up. I didn't miss anybody, did I? Nope. Rick Kilboy. He says, inspiration from a photo he took a few years back. Yeah, that's cool. That was one of the suggestions, right? To take to take photos, either one of yours or someone else's, or a famous photo, and try to describe it to the AI and get AI to try to recreate that photo. That's a good exercise. That is a really good sort of weightlifting exercise and you'll get the frustration and the joys of successes and failures when you try that with the AI. So what about this one, Troy? What do you think?
I think this one is really wonderful. I love the film noir look, the mood of this. I think this is just so great, and it would be really, really, really hard to tell if this was AI generated or not.
Yeah.
If you do a lot of AI generation and you realize it doesn't do words very well, it doesn't add words, so you could sort of clue in on that, but you could fix that in post, and I think you could convince somebody that this was a photograph.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the One of the lights, like just next to his head, I think is kind of a nuisance. I would probably expect that to be removed if this was a photograph or a critique of a photograph or competition or whatever. But as a photojournalistic style image, composition, the movement of the train, everything about that is so wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm really enjoying about all the images as we get through this, you'll notice in all the images, is that there is a very, very good use of depth of field, lighting to create depth in the image, for, rules of composition, simplicity. There's not a lot of distractions. So I'm
Yeah.
digging all that. Yeah, this is really good.
Yeah. Yeah, and keep in mind, folks, that we are photographers or content creators, and we're looking at these through those eyes. When the vast majority of the people that you're creating these images for in the real world aren't going to know what tools you use. They're not gonna really care, because the image that you create will ideally be in service of an overall story, right? So I can imagine when I was a kid, my brother and I used to write little short stories, science fiction short stories. And I can imagine back then being able to write that story and then illustrate it, right? And create a shot that goes along with it. And now you have kind of the 1-2 punch there. And in doing that, you wouldn't care like, oh, you didn't use traditional tools to create that image. It's just now I have the power to create an image that represents what was in my mind's eye when I wrote the story, which I think is really cool. On this shot, I agree. I agree with everything you said. This looks photorealistic. In the comments, folks are saying it's like Ladunarina says, it's a stunning image. Yeah, this is stunning. From a photojournalistic standpoint, it is a really cool image. We've got the motion of the train. We've got the moodiness and the shadow, which is leading us up into our subject, the mysterious figures in the background. We want to know what's going on here. This is like a film noir type shot. From a compositional standpoint, what would I change in here? The same things you changed, Troy. The light, especially the light right next to his head. And maybe I might even remove one of these lights here. Maybe this one that's close to the body, because it's sort of it's taking me away from our subject there. But other than that, man, this is a cool image. This is definitely fun. I like it.
Very true.
Yep. All right, moving right along. Look at this. This is crazy. Karen Sweeney, Karen says, I'd love to go on safari for real. It was nice to imagine. Well played. It was nice to imagine what it would be like. The kill. Let's take a look. Look at that, man. Like, this is not real.
know.
This is not real.
No.
This looks 100% real to me. I'm looking for artifacts that would give it away that this is not in reality. But even looking at it at its own merits, it's a great photograph. I put photograph in quotes, but it's a great. If you didn't know this was generated by AI, you would say, "Oh, what a great shot! Wow, you had the right lens at the right time, and you got the sun in the back. You did all the right things out there on the Serengeti when you were getting this shot." But then we put on our AI hat, and we're like, okay, it's still technically competent, and correct. I like it. I don't have a whole lot of negatives to say on this one, feedback or other. I know you're probably going to say Troy Miller, compositionally, you don't like that horizon bisecting the shot. I don't agree. I just want to preempt that and say I don't agree. I'm happy with it bisecting right there because the lion's head is breaking it. And you may say something about the tree growing out of the lion's head. I don't mind that either. So I'm taking the wind out of your sails. So go for it with your paddle.
First of all, the horizon is not in the center. It's
Okay,
below
it
center,
is.
so I'm good with that.
Okay.
Yes, the tree coming out of the lion's head is certainly a bit distracting, and I would suggest to the photographer, like, hey, if you can step a little bit to the right, to move the tree. But in photojournalism, it is what it is, and what I am really sort of loving about this is that this one is so difficult to tell whether it was AI generated or not. I would say that unless you know lions and lion behavior, you might be able to question that. But I think from a photographic standpoint, um, it's super, super, super solid. And again, the use of this shallow depth of field where it's giving us separation from our subjects, the use of light and tone, the backlighting. I, I mean, this is scary good.
Yeah.
I mean, the wound on the lion's left leg. Um, yeah, yeah, everything.
Yeah. Yeah. You just get sucked into this image. It is really, really cool. Which, to your point, Troy, like I think during the mixers you would say that, like, the temptation, or one of the fears, is that people will take a shot like this and submit it to a photo contest and win without disclosing the fact that it was generated with AI. I think we're firmly into that world now, like the world of your local photo club contests, and you're just, why is Karen winning all the photo contests now? And why?
Right?
How is she able to travel all over the world to get these shots? I don't understand. So we're kind of in that. And again, early days, right? This is created with early days software. Like, where are we going to be? To Phil's point in the chat, I think, let me scroll up. Yeah, Phil was saying, imagine, let me bring his little comment up here. He's like, imagine that in the future, these kind of anomalies will decrease. So, basically he was talking about the Deb image, right? And the hand in the pot.
Yeah.
Those kind of things will go away in the future. And little things in this shot that may have been errors will be gone in the future. And like in the conversation I had with Pratik, he is a high-end retoucher, right? With a clientele list that you wouldn't imagine. And he made the statement in that show, I don't know if you heard it, that some images are getting to the point now where he can't tell if it was created, if it was real or Memorex, right? So we're there already in a lot of ways, but it's only going to get better. So yeah, this is a great shot, Karen. Good job.
Yep. Very good. Very good. Love that warm tone too. Gosh, that color. I just love that color.
You could totally print this. You need to do a series of these, Karen. You gotta do like illustrate your journey as you went on your safaris in the metaverse.
I think the fun thing is too is that we can generate, as Karen pointed out, that we can generate things in places that we would like to go, we would like to be. I love that. I love that ability to generate this sort of fantasy type world that we can look at. I mean, Karen generated a background of a castle. That's my background on my desktop.
Nice.
I love it. I love it so much. I've made it my background. It's like I look at it every day and I'm just like, that's so nice.
That is cool. That is cool.
I couldn't do that otherwise.
Yeah. And it's interesting. I think Deb said in the chat that she's basically talking about her photojournalistic roots and the restrictions that photojournalists have on themselves, which they need to, of not messing with the image. But she was saying she's using the tool for kind of like for pre-visualization of the things that she wants to shoot. So imagine that now, instead of just going and building a Pinterest board or, doing your research that way. If you could actually sit in the computer, do a little research on the location you're going to, and then say, okay, I want a shot, describe that exact, the scene that you feel like you want to try to get, and pre-visualize it. Maybe even using photo pills or something to give you a level of accuracy and input all that and see what comes out.
Right.
It's a whole new world. Speaking of whole new worlds, Tim Ingle is up next. Check out this shot. Look at that.
Oh, you mean Craig Stampley?
No, is that Craig Stampley or Tim? Wait.
Yeah. Oh, you'll know
sorry.
Tim's when you get to it.
Why did I say Tim Ingle? Why did I say Tim Ingle? He's in the chat. I was reading his name. Craig Stampley. Thank you. Craig Stampley. Here you go.
Yeah. Again, this is very much in Craig's style. I know he does a lot of, underwater stuff. And this image is another one of those images that just absolutely sell itself as being real. The bubbles are a little bit weird. And if I was judging this for an image competition, I would be looking at the bubbles like, I think you added those later or something, but it would be really hard to tell. And the expression and everything. This is cool. If you were to enter this in image competition, it would score. I'm telling you, it would score. A lot of people would not know that's AI.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. Yeah, I like this. I like this a lot. It's creepy. It's a little. It falls on the creepy side. Like, why is she underwater? And with that expression, that looks like a slightly in distress or slightly, I don't know. There's something about that expression. But you could easily write a story around this. Right, where imagine that you give this story to an author and like, okay, write a story about this image and how this young woman ended up in this situation. Is she doing it on purpose?
You said
Is she
an
being
author.
Forced? Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying.
Why would I give it to an author? I'll just give it to ChatGPT.
Oh my god!
I know.
Yeah,
that's cruel, right?
Like in the future, you'll give ChatGPT an image and say, "Okay, write a short story about this," and then publish it. Right? Oh my god!
Well,
yeah.
If we should try that. We should get the prompts for like this image and say, write a short story about, and put the prompts in and see what it writes.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Experiment. That's the whole idea. Yeah,
But
I like
I
it.
do want to kind of point out that on an image like this is such a good lesson, and we've talked about these things a lot of times when we have photographs and other images that we're critiquing. It's about having a simple, non-distracting, image, like where the light is focusing our attention, drawing us into the image. What is our main subject? And the AI is doing that exceptionally well. With the lighting on her face, it's darker everywhere else. The bubbles are kind of fading away as they go off to the edges. I mean, we know right where to look. We're drawn into her eyes. The rest of the image is not distracting. I mean, this should be a goal for a lot of us in our photographs.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. Hey, Craig, I know you're watching this either now or in the future. You should try to recreate this image. I know you do a lot of underwater photography. It'd be interesting to see if you could pull this off with traditional, I know you have micro four thirds camera, but still, if you could pull this off using that camera and doing your underwater stuff. And I say that tongue in cheek because I love micro four thirds. And the other thing of this shot, I don't know if he was pandering to us or to you in particularly, but there is a thick border on this with a chin on it as well. So what do you say about that? Is this the correct? Like, should he have gone white with that border? Is it blending in too much, or does the key line he added on there add enough separation to make the border work?
I think the separation is perfect. I think that the presentation is very, very good for competition. I think it's a good, representation of the image with a good offset. I love the heavy chin, because she's already in the upper, third of the image. Like, this is a really, really strong presentation. Yeah, I really like it. It would look good printed, obviously.
It would for sure. And then, just on the topic, when I look at this shot and I know it's AI, kind of like in photography, right? Where we're always, we see a shot in the communities, the various photography communities. We'll see a shot. I'm gonna put us on the screen. We'll see a shot where it's something interesting, and we want to try it. So we want to know what camera was used, what lens, how did you process it. We want to know all the things. And I find myself these days, when I see images that I know are AI, I find myself wondering what the prompt was. Is that the new thing, right? Tell me the words that you put together. And if that is the new thing, is that the secret sauce for a photographer that understands how to use Midjourney and the various, commands that you can use to make it do certain things and generate certain looks? Do you keep that close to your vest now, or is it? Should we be sharing those? I don't know. What do you think?
I I think for now, I think in the transition and the understanding of AI, the digestion of what AI is, I think that it's healthy to share the prompts. I think it's healthy to point out that it's an AI image. I think that it's healthy to have that super open dialogue. I think any sort of subversive behavior to create an image or call it a photograph and use AI is just going to be really frowned upon in the art community. And we need to establish the proper genres for this work so that everybody gets proper credit and everybody respects the art for what it is. So if this was an image that somebody photographed, we can go like, wow, that's a great photograph. You were underwater with a camera, blah, blah, blah. If this is an image you photographed in a studio and then you composited these elements together, we're like, wow, what an amazing digital artist you are. Like, geez, how'd you get it to look so real? Or if you're an artist that you can draw, if this is a realistic pencil drawing, you get a different type of like awe, right? Like, wow, how do you do that? But if you lie to me and you tell me that you shot this and it's a photograph and I find out that you just generated an AI in 2 minutes, I'm gonna be like, all right, you're off the island.
Yeah. Very true. Some comments on this. Jim Peters had a really good comment here. He says, impressive composition, but who do you praise? The AI or Craig? Good point, right? Going forward, as we work all this stuff out, how do you compliment a photographer on an image that they generated like this? You say, hey, great use of you write good prompt. It's just like, hey, you must have a great camera. That shot's amazing, right? Is the 2023 beyond equivalent to that? Hey, you write good prompt. What do you think?
I can see that. I think that we praise both. I think that we praise the artist for working hard to get the image. As many of us have played with Midjourney, we know that you don't get an amazing image the first time out. So oftentimes it takes time to get the prompts right, and then we don't know what kind of work was done in post. He may have removed some stuff. He may have cleaned some stuff up. He may have done that. So for me, I just see it as art. I'll say like Andy Warhol, like he's somebody who's iconic and everybody loves his like Marilyn Monroe, duotone, multi-toned images and things like that. And he gets a lot of praise for those images, but he didn't make those. His printer made those. He had the concept and he went to his printer and said, hey, here's what I want. And then the printer spent countless hours figuring out the tonal palettes and the color combinations. And then they made them. But he got all the praise for it. Yeah. This is not unusual in history of art. This is not unusual.
I think the difference is the difference is there's a machine involved now, and there's all that ambiguity that goes along with non-human creation. Jim followed up with a comment that the concept is from the artist. Yeah, so it is 100%. The image would not exist if the artist had not willed it into existence. They used a tool to will it, but it would not exist without that artist. Here's another one from Mike Weber, which is a good comment. Mike says, I'm curious, how much time are people spending in Midjourney to create these images? Yeah, good point. Troy, when you create like the image that you had up there, how much time did it take for you to get to the one that you felt like, okay, this is the one, I'm going to bring this to Capture One to finish it?
5 or 10 minutes. but I'm fairly familiar with Midjourney and the prompting system, and I've been playing with it for a little while, so I felt comfortable that I could nail it. But yeah, it's not a lot of time, like
Yeah.
not a lot of time at all.
Yeah, I think that the time comes in where you get the you put in a prompt and you get the 4 images. You're like, oh yeah, that one's closest. Give me some more like that, And then
Yeah.
you go down that road, either fail or succeed, or you start again. So that's the flow. It's really the time. I think is really the time that it takes you to figure out what you want and type that prompt in, and then for the mid journey or whatever service you're using service to generate that resultant image. So yeah, it's crazy, crazy, crazy. All right, let's move on. Thank you, Craig Stanfley. Great shot, man. And again, gauntlet thrown down. The challenge is Craig Stanfley recreate this image or a variant of this image using traditional tools, and let's see them side by side, and then we'll take a look at them. All right, who's up next? Ooh, Phil. Content aware Phil is up next. Phil says, thought it would be more fun to add something to an existing photo. He used the Photoshop beta. The sense of scale is an interesting thing. Okay, so this is a photograph. This is a real photograph. We all know Phil's shots, right? And he added in, I'm guessing, this castle on the hill there. I don't see any other Easter eggs in here. Where's our sea palms? I don't see sea palms in here.
There's
Oh,
one
there's one.
on the
There's
next
one.
castle.
Right there. Right there. Yeah. All right. What do you think? This is a composite.
I love this so much. This is probably my favorite image. I really, really, really like this a lot because I'm a fantasy nut, and so for me, this is right in that sweet spot for me. I just love this sort of mystery of like, oh my gosh, like is that a castle for little people, or is that a big castle and these rocks are really big, or like where is this in Mordor, or is this in like where, like I just, oh my gosh, I just love that. Photographically, right, or image, let's just say about the image is I would do some dodging and burning, or I would do some dodging to darken the left a little bit darker, the most dark on the left, a little bit darker on the right, a little darker in the center, and then that way the castle and the rock pop out, so to create like a tunnel of light. But what a cool concept. Like this is great. This is great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, this is really fun, and what a good example of it. And Phil, when you're playing with this, I know this is you're one of the people that I have in mind, or that I had in mind when we put this out there. The folks that are like, oh, not so much naysayer, but just like, oh, is it real? Is this real photography? All that, and I get that, and to have you go in there and use the Photoshop beta to actually see how you can enhance your already great images with a different kind of seasoning, which is what this is really, really cool
Right.
to see. And then when I look at the shot photographically, again, Troy, I agree with you on a number of things. The one thing that I think the one negative piece of feedback that I would give, and this is completely subjective, of course, but the placement of the subject close to the edge of the frame. It just for me, it's just a little bit too close to the edge of the frame at the top, which is kind of signaling to me that this, even though I can see it up there, it's maybe not so important. It's in the background and it's close to the top of the frame. So maybe I should be looking down here. Maybe this water flow right here is what the artist wanted me to look at. I think if we had a little bit more space at the top and a little less space down here, it would make the castle on the rock more obvious that it was the subject. And then this isn't a negative criticism. When I look at this, I get drawn in again, and my brain starts thinking, okay, how do they get in there? Like what? Where's the drive? Where's the driveway? Do they get in there with a dragon? Like how do they get in?
Well, they teleport. They teleport. Yeah.
Oh, they
what
had
you do,
teleportation.
yeah.
This is oh, this is future. Oh, okay.
No, it's magic. This is all magic.
Oh,
Like,
then that means
they
it's
just,
old then. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's very old. Old magic. Yeah.
Old magic. Old magic.
Something
With a K.
something to really take away from an image like this, and is the fact that if you were to put that castle anywhere else in this image, it wouldn't really work. And
Yeah.
once you put the castle in there, that part of the image now becomes very powerful, and you could actually crop a little bit of the left, a little bit of the bottom, And now you have this incredibly powerful, well composed image.
Yeah.
And this may be a lesson to where, you know, you can look at your image and decide, okay, where am I going to put the castle? Where am I going to put the sea palm? Where am I going to put, you know, whatever, whether it's with AI or not? And that can help you look at the composition of your image. Look at what leads the eye. What is the hero in the shot? Even without the castle, the crop, the direction of light is better if we assume that the castle is there and we crop it accordingly, right? So
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
using those tools to find the sweet spot.
Yeah. Yeah. Good job. Very nice, Phil. Thank you. Thank you, Phil. All right. Now here's Tim Ingle. Oh my jeez. Oh, God. Tim Ingle with no caption. Let's see. Oh, good grief. Tim, I knew you were going to do this. I was expecting clowns though, but this is close. So, look at this. So look at his comment, or not a comment, but look at the file name at the top of the screen. Cute 1970s cute single female clown performing an autopsy in a something. I don't know what the F is. So this is crazy.
Yeah.
What do you think of this?
Oh, this is amazing. I remember when Tim started up his Discord and him and I were in there playing and we were going like deep into the scary clown stuff. And I'm
I
not
saw
gonna,
that.
yeah, it's scary. Some of it is so scary stuff. But I think that what's really cool here is that you could show us this image, Tim, and we would all be like, oh my gosh, like Tim did it again. Tim created another creepy clown image. Like this fits his genre and it's super believable. And, you know, to dive in a little deeper, like the mouth doesn't quite look right. There's no teeth. The tongue is kind of bizarre, but maybe that was intentional by the artist, right? But the rest of it, I would totally buy this as a piece of, you know, photographic art from Tim Ingle.
Oh yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah, this could absolutely be a I don't know, like a movie poster. I could see this with the movie poster type, font and the title of the movie at the top and then the stretched letters at the bottom. This could totally be some sort of new horror flick. Yeah, I
Yeah.
dig it. I dig it, Tim. This is crazy. It's like Mid Journey is plugged directly into the mind of Tim Ingle, and these the these are the artifacts that pop out from time to time.
It's
So
so crazy. If you render clowns, like if you go to Midjourney and render clowns, like oftentimes the clowns are creepy. Um, they're not
yeah,
like your happy McDonald's clowns. Like they're creepy clowns. Like there's a dark edge to them, and I wonder if that's just from the imagery that it was trained on. Was it a lot of dark, scary clowns or whatever? You know, I don't
maybe,
know.
maybe. Yeah, it's interesting, and I think let me find the from Tim. Or actually, well, where is it? Jim Peters. So Jim Peters says, "Not sure I want to know the prompts for your photo, but it's quite cool, right? Prompts. Well, yeah, we got a little bit of the prompt at the top there. That is interesting." And then earlier, Tim Ingle said, "Let me find him." He said this. I'll never give up my prompts. That's what we were talking about. Should photographers share their secret sauce? Yeah, it's a secret sauce, right? I mean, you could get there, but I think part of it is being inspired by an image and not being restricted by, oh well, Joe McNally's a great photographer, but if I had a Nikon Z9 and all the lenses and access and all that,
Mm.
I could do that. So you don't have that excuse anymore. Right? You could, if you saw this image and you were moved by it in whatever direction, you could say, "Yeah, I want to try that," and go sit down with your laptop or whatever, and or your phone, and just start trying to do shots like this, and you more than likely end up on a completely different tangent that you weren't expecting to be on. That was inspired by Tim Ingle and this shot. So you'd never get this shot, but you might get something that's even more fantastic, which is exciting.
Right. Right. Yeah. And
Good
I
job,
always
Tim.
wondered, like the AI, it's trained on images, but what genre of images? Like images from the 90s, images from the 2000s? I mean, I wonder how it would generate images if it was only trained on images from like the 50s. You know, would we see a shift in the, you know, the overall voice of the images that it creates?
Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah, that's a really good point too. Because as we know, like if you've been experimenting with Midjourney and you dive into the app and you're doing your /imagine prompt thing, and you're like, oh wow, that's amazing. Invariably you're gonna hit a word that the AI doesn't like. Whether it's
Right.
something innocuous like smoking or fighting or something like that, and it'll give you an error message saying, that phrase is outside of what blah 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 terms of service, yada yada yada, and it won't generate it for you. That's because in the case of Midjourney, the folks that put it together put those restrictions in there. Those are human generated or human parameters or restrictions that are implemented on this image model. What happens if you don't have those restrictions, though? What happens if it's a company that
Oh,
develops this with no restrictions? Or, as we know, certain industries, adult industries, will imagine when a model pops up that allows them to generate whatever situations that they want to generate or allow their users to do it. That's the part of the cat out of the bagness that I think everyone's talking about, because right now Midjourney is very docile and very politically correct. But what happens when it's not? Or if a service comes up that's not, or doesn't have the morality, the quote morality, or puritanic morality that Midjourney has? What kind of art will we see, or what kind of images will we see? Yeah, the sky's the limit. What do you think about that, Troy? Like if there's a model that's even more powerful than Midjourney that comes out in 2024 that has very few restrictions, or the free version has restrictions, or you could pay $10 a month and get a version with no restrictions, right? What happens when that drops?
To me, that's the scariest form of AI, because right now, you know, to fake an image, you got to have extreme Photoshop skill, or know somebody who does to do it for you. And once an image is in the public's eye for whatever reason, it's hard to be forgotten, right? Because once it's evoked an emotion, it's hard to undo that. And what this is going to allow is, even right now, you can create images that can influence a populace. Even if they know the image is fake, it doesn't matter. It shows the image. And we need, this is why the dialogue is so important. This is why the conversation is so important. This is why the debate about what's art, what's not art, what's AI, so that we can put proper terms to it. And then hopefully we can get some oversight and some self-governance from companies and businesses and, you know, state municipalities and things that can help us manage this.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing that I'm the most worried about, is that you're going to get some extremist who's going to start generating images with faces of people and pumping them out into the universe, and they're going to be so pervasive, they're going to get picked up and circulated like fake news, and then you can't bring that back, you can't
Mm-mm.
undo it.
Yeah.
And that's going
No,
to be the scary part.
it is very scary, and it's also scary when you think about it from a propaganda standpoint, right? So we're both located in the U.S., but apparently there are countries outside of the U.S. I've heard a rumor that there are there are people that live in countries outside of the United States of America or North America. And this is technology, right? It is not bound by any borders. Like it doesn't matter. So whatever morals that Americans put on technology here is not
Right.
necessarily world, global, earth law, right? So
Right.
if someone and then again, America centric, right? We're here in America, so if you type something, it's generally even on a subconscious level going to likely to generate something that is not negative towards this country, right? But what if China, well, we know China has their own AI, right? China, and you put in a phrase, it's going to generate something that may not be that something that you would want as an American. Like, for example, I remember when I went to Vietnam a couple years ago, and one of the things that surprised me when I went there was And this was my first time in that country, and amazing country, great people. It was beautiful. I loved it. Want to go back. But when I went there, we toured all the thing, the areas that were, which is most of the country that was affected by war, the Vietnam War, which I thought was called the Vietnam War. When you're in Vietnam, they call it the American War, right? Which makes 100% sense. You go there like, oh, let's go to this museum of the American War, right? So you forward that to a AI perspective, and if someone types in a prompt on a Vietnamese AI, right, it's going to tell you something different than
Right.
it would here, right? And that, which is not wrong. Of course, it should do that. But just be prepared, I guess, is the message. Be prepared that,
Oh yeah.
this stuff is kind of got training wheels on and it's in a box, but it's not going to be forever. And which makes it makes the onus on you to learn it right now, to understand what is and what can be, so that you can not be shocked when you see images that aren't exactly what you expected. Like this one. Thank you, Tim
Right.
Engel, for the nightmare fuel.
Yeah. And I really hope for a educated, creative community to apply pressure um, to the generative AI companies, like Midjourney and Dolly and on and on and on, to uphold, some set of moral standards, because
Hmm.
that's where it's going to be, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's going to be self-policing, and it's going to require the community, an educated community. I want to stress that, because once you understand how AI works and you understand how that company works, or how they generate images, then you have a voice that they'll listen to, not just being an extremist and complaining, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully we can hold them to those things, and hopefully the people running them will already have those moral standards. We hope,
Yeah.
we hope.
Yeah, but that's the thing. That's the thing, right? Whose moral standards are we talking about? Because they're different in that even the word morals is subjective. There are some countries
Right.
that are very misogynistic, right? Of course, that and that's just the way of life, and it's fine. That's their country. We may look at it with one eye closed in judgment, but there it's perfectly normal. They look at us with one eye closed in judgment, but that's
Yeah.
that's their morality over there, and who are we to say that that's wrong or right? So, same with their AI. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. All right, Tim Engel, thank you for that. Look at this, Nora. Nora. So Nora has this one in here. Look at this shot. Come on, this is just crazy. All right, what do you think?
Oh man, this is by far one of the most the most realistic of all the images, right? Like this is just so cool. Except for the feet seem a little handish, but the hands look okay. um
Yeah.
but that face, oh gosh, that's just so cool. Even the tight crop and all of that. Yeah, this is just such a beautiful image. It's really good. I I,
Yeah.
I would crop a little off the side for balance, but that's it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I would agree. Yeah, off this side over here, right? This side right here. You'd cut some of that off.
Correct. Yeah,
Yeah.
camera left.
Yeah, and just for folks that may be new to this AI stuff, notoriously Midjourney and similar technologies have problems with hands and feet. So they're getting better, especially the latest release of Midjourney is getting much better, and I would assume that problem is going to be, firmly in our rear view at some point in the near future. But just be advised when you're generating images or portraits or something, and you want hands in the scene, your results may vary on that. But this shot, that shallow depth of field. We've got our little kid here that sort of pulls it in. Why is this kid crouching in front of the ball? And then the eye contact, which is the magic piece, which just kind of draws you in that crazy hair, which is awesome. Like
Yeah.
this it just blows me away. This person does not exist in the real world that we know of. And
No.
here we are looking at this great photo. It's crazy.
And I'm really impressed with the depth of field in this image, and what I think would be accurate depth of field, where the child's face, the child, like this gets weird, right? Because it's not a child, right? But the child, the representation of the child, like,
Yes, I just say the child is
um,
fine.
right. So the child's face is leaning forward, puts it in the same plane of focus as the ball, which is the same plane of focus that the hands are in, but the arms and the shoulders and the knees and the background are pushed back, so it's very shallow. The hair, I mean, this is great. This is what I try to do when I'm photographing, using shallow depth
Hmm.
of field and isolation of your subject. So this kind of leans into like Deborah's comment about using it for research, right?
Hmm.
Like you can look at this and be like, oh my gosh, like I need to get that in the real world. That would be accomplishment. That's great.
And Nora, you should be proud, you because Troy Miller was so distracted by the excellence of this image, he didn't even comment on the highlight on the knee here, because he normally Troy would have said maybe drop that down a little bit, and the highlight on the shoulder here, because our values are a little blown out. So Troy would have said
I would
drop
have.
that down. And you may have said something about the hand too, to bring that down a little bit, to draw intention into the face. So I'm helping Troy out here. He's just, seduced by the AI here. That's a good point though, Troy. Normally if Nora has shot this with a camera, presumably in RAW, she would have had the ability to go ahead and recover some of the highlights here, right? But in
Yeah.
AI, you don't. There is no data there, right? So
Right.
so what do? You're just stuck with whatever you get, right? It's back to slide film.
Yeah, or you use AI and you generate skin texture and you drop it in there.
Yeah, no. Or you just go shoot a kid, right? Photograph a kid.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, cool shot though. I love it. I could see a whole portfolio of these, and we've talked about this before, right, Troy? Where these days, a photographer or someone. Let me put us on the screen here. Someone that wants to start up a photography business could very easily create a portfolio of images in whatever genre that they feel like they want to play in,
I
to
know.
kind of do the whole fake it till you make it thing, right? And put up a whole website of portfolio shots and the price list and wire it in Stripe for deposits, and set up their Smug Mug account and sell. They could do all the things in a day. They get
Nobody would have
everything
done
set up.
that.
No,
Nobody would have done that had you not said that.
no,
Now it's going to
sure.
happen.
Yeah, because I know things, right? Yeah, no, but it's cool. I mean, you totally could. They could totally do that. I wonder if someone. I mean, I'm sure people are doing it already because humans, right?
Yeah.
But, but yeah, I love this shot. Really, really good work, Nora, as usual. Nora, I'm curious. So, tell us in the chat. I think you're still in the chat. If you're still in the chat, tell us what you think about this AI world. Are you embracing it? Are you going to do more of it, or are you afraid of it or negative towards it? All right. And is that it? Is that our last shot? Oh no! Let me reload the page.
Tim
I
Ingle
think that's the
threw
last one.
a final image in there just because.
Okay, good. Thank you, Tim. Let's see. Coming down. Oh yeah, there we go. And now for something normal from Tim Ingle. Yeah, he just wanted to prove that he's not a maniac. I don't know if this proves it, Tim, but yeah. Okay, look at this. This is not real. Look at this shot, man. Look at the reflections of the background on whatever this glass surface is. Look at her reflection in there. Look at that. Is it correct? Is her gaze correct in the reflection?
Yeah. It's
It is,
crazy
right?
good. It's
Yeah.
crazy, crazy good. Even
Wow.
even the
Okay.
little stray hair that's coming in off to camera right on her left eye, right to us. There's like a little tiny stray hair that's coming in there, and
Oh, right here.
these these images are the worst that they're ever going to be. And they're so good that I could see this image in like a national competition, because you print that on paper and you mat it and you present it and they don't ask you, you're not going to be able to tell.
Yeah.
The skin filtering and the eye work, and you know yeah, it's going to pass. That's going to
It
pass.
will. And if you did this for a client, it will pass, and then they'll say, "Oh yeah, this is a great shot. This is perfect for our campaign. But you know what? Could you get that model back and do a whole series with her? Because she's amazing. We want to hire her and give her $1 million a year. Like, oh, no, I can't. She's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. But good shot, Tim. Yep. Yeah, this is crazy. This is great. Tim, sound off in the chat or in the community and let us know. You're one of our commercial photographers, and you do work like this or better, right? In the real world. I'm curious what I know that you're doing the compositing stuff we talked about earlier, but for these kinds of shots, how do you feel about these? How do you feel about someone without your lifetime of skill being able to theoretically replicate it? Or even maybe do better in some cases sitting at Starbucks on their MacBook. I'm curious. So, yeah, that'd be interesting to know. All right, Troy, we are through these. We didn't go much past the hour. We're a little bit past the hour, but we'll wrap up. What are your you have a favorite? I think you mentioned you had a favorite in here. I think it was Phil's. Like what's your favorite?
I love Phil's. But he didn't use Midjourney, and the whole image wasn't generated, which I think it was kind of our goal.
No, we said it. We said it could have been. I think we gave him the option, either or. It could be fully Midjourney or a composite. So,
right, and leading into sort of the AI component of this. I mean, I love his image and the fantasical type, if that's a word, look that there is in there. But I think that of all the images that really, fantasical. That's I can't make up words.
That's a type of motorcycle. I don't know.
I think Rick's image is probably one of my favorites and the most striking, the black and white with the train, because it's just so realistic and it's so moodful, and it harkens back to a genre that the film noir, and it's so good. I mean, with even the blur on the train, it's more blurred as it gets closer to you than it is further away. I mean, just everything about this image just screams that it's a photograph, and it's not. And I think that's the winner for me.
Yeah. We'll give it to Rick on this one. Yeah, this shot reminds me. It makes me think of one of those old detective shows. Those kind of moody ones where you have this is the detective walking down waiting for the train, and some voiceover saying he waited for the train, but she never showed up, and suddenly the train left. And he found himself alone again. Where did she go? Did he say something wrong? It's like he could totally fill in the blank like that. I don't know. I love it. That's where my brain goes. Sorry, Troy. There's that insanity thing.
I'm there with you. I'm there. Yeah.
No, it's good stuff. Very good. Very good. Yep, that's our winner. What's our next critique topic going to be, Troy? When's our next critique? It is in 2 weeks from today, whatever that is.
Yeah.
Community members will find it. What do you think? Are you pulling from your list?
No, I'm moving the critique in the calendar. I think, because this was such a challenging topic, as a reward for everybody's good participation and behavior, that it should be an open category.
I agree.
An open topic. Yeah.
Yes, I agree. Okay, good. Open. So does open mean that they can use Midjourney if they want to, or is open traditional photography, camera and lens only?
Well, now see, there's the discussion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now we're gonna have to start deciding. Well, it is This Week in Photo. And so you have to decide if you want to sort of like This Week in Photo parentheses images or art or
oh yeah, oh god, you gotta change the name of the show now. Oh yeah, I think for this one let's keep it photography. So let's keep this straight camera, lens, and storytelling as we normally do it with the composition, lighting, exposure, and all that. Use your photographic skills for this one. I think in the future we may be more and more flexible in terms of mixing AI in or using composites or what, and we'll specify when we do a critique that has any sort of restrictions like that on it. But for this one, I think as a palette cleanser after this one, I think we just go with let's go with straight photography. And like Troy says, let's make it an open topic. So shoot what you like. Hopefully our preference is always, though this is not a hard and fast rule currently, but our preference is always that you go out and shoot something brand new. Don't go into your Lightroom catalog and just harvest something. Actually go out and create something brand new for the next critique. And yeah, that'll be cool. That'll be cool. So we'll leave it right there, man. That was a good critique. I like that. I think we'll do that regularly. Maybe not that often, but yeah, it was a good exercise. Folks in the chat or in the community on the event page for this event, let us know what you think, or let Troy and I know what you think about this, about doing a photo critique on artificial intelligence, and using that. Was it a success? Was it too hard? Was it too scary? Did you, all the things? We're very curious to know. And also, if you're watching this, please like and subscribe to the podcast. I want to grow our numbers over the next couple of months or so. I'm doing some things to make sure that happens. And you can help by just liking and subscribing to this here YouTube channel. Next critique will be open as per Troy. No AI, just straight photography. Troy, let's leave it at that. Tell me, give us some closing thoughts from your side of California. What do you think?
Oh man, stay cool and be creative and go be a good human.
There you go. I like that. And I'll piggyback on that. I'm going to use a Troy Miller phrase. What was it? Walk slow and read.
Yeah, walk slow and read. Yep.
Walk slow and read. I think about that anytime I'm like running into Target, because I always walk at this fast clip for some reason when I don't really have any place to be, right? But I'm always in a hurry. So I got a little Troy Miller on my shoulder saying, dude, just walk slow. You got a little beanie on and everything. It's just like, just walk slow, walk slower. Why are you in a rush? So take it slower, All right, cool. Thank you, everybody, for participating in this critique, and all the folks that are watching it now and in the future. There'll be more like this coming up. We'll leave it right there. Thank you, Troy Miller.
You got it. All right. Thanks, everybody.
All right. See you guys. Bye.